Welcome to Romans History Palooza, where I examine history through a geographical lens, that is, through space, time, and culture. When you think about it, all history begins with geography. And of course, all geography has a history. And in this video, I'm going to take you on a tour that I specifically designed for my family, my closest friends, and my godchildren when we spent time in San Francisco back in February. Now, keep in mind that what I'm going to present to you is merely the surface. There's a lot more to see, and you'll probably notice there are some spots that we didn't hit, but that's okay because we go back often, and I'll continue to post videos and add some more tours as time goes on. Now, you'll notice in this picture, I'm wearing the Huey Lewis in the News t-shirt, and for you fans out there, you know that Huey Lewis in the News come from the Bay Area, and the picture that was taken for the sports album was taken right here at the 2 a.m. Club in Mill Valley, California in Marin County, just north of San Francisco. That is where my love for San Francisco began, was listening to Huey Lewis in the early 80s and watching their videos on MTV. And I remember seeing the backdrop of San Francisco in some of their videos. And I knew that I had to visit. I knew that I had to see this place up close in person. So when I was 16, my dad took me to San Francisco, and as the great Tony Bennett says, I left my heart in San Francisco. So every opportunity that my wife and I have to head back to San Francisco and spend time, we do it. And I hope this video helps you and kind of sets up a way for you to do your own personal self-guided tour when you travel through San Francisco. Now, what you're going to see is day one. Hopefully in the next few weeks, I'll publish day two, and you can really experience the culture that is in San Francisco. You know, the Bay Area is home to some of the greatest singers, songwriters, bands that ever existed. You know, the music scenes of San Francisco were revolutionary and part of some of America's biggest trends and movements. Once referred to as the Harlem of the West, San Francisco's Fillmore district was home to the bebop jazz. And of course, Haight-Ashbury was an epicenter for the 60s counterculture movement that established the famous Summer of Love, anti-war protests, and deep-rooted culture for civil rights, which still exists today. So San Francisco is not just a beautiful geographical wonder. It is a cultural epicenter that I hope you enjoy. And let's take the tour. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button. And send me your comments and let me know what you think about this tour. One amazing aspect of the San Francisco Bay Area is this shaded blue here is marks where the original water line used to be. And you'll see that much of the pier, Embarcadero area, and of course the business district was underwater at one point up until about the mid 1850s. The waterfront, the business district, was built upon the ships that came to port in the mid 17th century during the gold rush. So many of the ships were abandoned while the crews went inland to take part in the gold rush of 1849. Now, the deserted ships soon became storefronts of trade and other business affairs. But on May 4th, 1851, a fire struck and it reduced the majority of these wooden ships into nothing but burnt piles of rubble. So sand was pushed in because all this area used to be sand dunes. So there was much sand that was pushed in over the charred ships that created a foundation that extended the waterfront of San Francisco. As the maritime archaeologist James Delgado put it, the high rises are the tombstones of the gold rush waterfront. So just beneath the business district and surrounding area rests the remains of several ships forever sealed beneath the concrete landscape of the San Francisco waterfront. So at some point I'll do a tour down in this area, and there's actually landmarks and plaques that mark where some of the ships are still buried underneath the business district. So you can see that you have the Oracle field here is right down over here in this corner, and that area used to be underwater. You have Coit Tower. That area used to be underwater. And then, of course, the pyramid, the Transamerica building. What was interesting about this building is it's iconic to the San Francisco uh, skyline. And when it was first designed, many people didn't like it. The citizens of San Francisco felt that it was just too out of place and just it didn't fit, and they really didn't want it to be built. But as time went on, people began to embrace it, and now when you look at the skyline, that is the trademark of San Francisco, is seeing the pyramid jutting out over the business district. So it's come to be a central piece of the San Francisco architecture. Then, of course, over here, Bodines is would have been underwater at the time. And of course, you got to stop there and get the sourdough bowl filled with their clam chowder. Fantastic. So you'll see that it was very interesting is how much San Francisco has pushed in. And eventually, they had to stop because what they didn't want to happen was they didn't want the land to continue to move out and eventually take up the entire bay, which would have lost the entire charm of the region. What I've done here is I've shaded out the northern part of San Francisco that we'll be mainly concentrating on. You'll see that it's divided into two tours. What I've done is embedded the 2 days of tours here in this map. The first day we're going to concentrate mainly around Union Square, down onto the pier, Lombard Street, and then head over to the Golden Gate Bridge. The second day we come more central and we take our route down to Alamo Square where the Painted Ladies are, the Haight-Ashbury neighborhood where we'll actually do some walking and stop in at Gus's and grab a sandwich. Fantastic sandwiches there. And then we'll catch a bus, head over to Golden Gate Park, and we'll spend a lot of time, or you can spend a lot of time down here in the Golden Gate Park. So this, remember as I said earlier, this entire region was sand dunes and eventually became a concrete landscape. So they wanted to create a green space, and what they did was they carved out a section here where Golden Gate Park is, and all this lush greenery was built on top of sand. And they went out and made sure that they used the specific type of greenery that could anchor into the sand and develop and grow and stay strong. And that's exactly what happened right here. Right across the street from Golden Gate Park, you can actually cross over and spend some time there at the beach enjoying the really, really cool water of the Pacific Ocean. So you'll see that there's much to do, and everything starts here at Union Square. And what I have found is that when you start at Union Square, that gives you the opportunity to catch any type of the transportation that best fits your needs. From Union Square, you can catch a cable car. You can, from there, head down to the pier, grab a streetcar, which can then take you over to the Embarcadero. You can catch the rail. If you go down Powell Street to Market, you can go into the BART and catch the rail underneath and under the bay and over into Oakland, all the way down into down by Santa Clara. So really, choosing to stay in the Union Square area gives you a really good option to make that your starting point in any direction that you decide to go on your tour. So here we have a little overview, another bird's eye view of Union Square. We typically stay right across over at the Chancellor Hotel, very nice boutique hotel, great accommodations, and they have fantastic fresh baked cookies that they have at the front desk all day long. Over here in Union Square, we actually got to sit in on the Chinese New Year parade this past February. And one thing I will recommend, if you have an opportunity to visit during the Chinese New Year parade, please take the time to come on down to the Union Square and watch it. It is phenomenal, and it's about a 2.5 hour parade. The finale fireworks show is amazing, and pictures and videos just do no justice to the final fireworks show. So if you have the opportunity, I highly recommend it. It's in February. It was in February this past year. So keep your eyes out, keep your ears open for the next year's Chinese New Year parade. Right here, you'll see right in the center of Union Square is the Big Alma statue. So this is the Grand Dame of San Francisco, a Danish immigrant whose fondness for art led her to become a human model for the art students at the Hopkins Art Institute in the Nob Hill neighborhood. The statue was erected in honor of Admiral George Dewey, a United States naval commander who arose victorious at the Manila Bay during the Spanish-American War. The groundbreaking was attended by President McKinley in 1901. However, several months later, he was assassinated. So the citizens of San Francisco chose to honor Dewey and McKinley by placing a trident in Big Alma's right hand for Dewey and a wreath in her left for McKinley. Um, there is some argument that Big Alma served as the model due to her beautiful physique. However, there are some that claim that it was not Big Alma who was the model for the statue. So when you head down to Union Square and hang out, especially at Christmas time, they erect a beautiful Christmas tree and a menorah, and they have the ice skating rink set up. Definitely a wonderful time to just sit and hang out and enjoy the weather and enjoy the sights. When it's time to grab your visitor passports for your transportation, I would recommend heading down Powell to Market, right at the intersection at the turntable where the cable cars terminate and are manually turned around, which is something you definitely have to sit back and watch. It's a really neat procedure. Just across the way there is a transit kiosk, and you have a couple of options. You can do a 1-day visitor pass, a 3-day visitor pass, or a 7-day. We usually do the 3-day when we go in because we do some other things that are beyond the regular public transportation. So if you're there and you're just visiting and you want to take advantage of the public transportation, you can grab a Mooney Pass, which gives you all the transportation options with the exception of the BART. Now, if you want to utilize the BART and go under the bay and over into Oakland and head down, maybe possibly into Santa Clara, down south, I would recommend getting the Clipper Pass. So the Clipper card allows you access all public transportation, including the BART. But again, I would recommend visiting sfmta.com/fares and see what the most up-to-date, most recent information is regarding passes and what is acceptable for the public transportation, whether you need just the paper passport or you need the Clipper card. If you choose to go ahead and use the Bay Area Rapid Transit System, the series of rail lines, the BART, pretty much anywhere you go in the transportation kiosks or down into the BART, you'll see the map, and it lays out all your lines: the red line, orange line, yellow, green. Down this way, you have the airports, so red line, yellow line will serve to the airport and back. And then, of course, blue line takes you around through Oakland. So if you have a chance, stop at one of these kiosks, or if you're in the BART system itself, station, head over, check out the map, and see if there's one of these lines that would be useful to you. Last year, we went to the 49ers game down in Santa Clara, so we actually took the BART all the way around under the bay and through Oakland down to Milpitas, and then we caught some of the light rails from Milpitas into Santa Clara. It was a nice ride. It was about an hour and 20 because it does make its stops, but the ride was nice. It was comfortable. It was safe. We even came back pretty late at night because the game ended a little late. So it was a safe trip. One thing I do recommend though is when you are traveling, whether it's San Francisco or anywhere you go, just try to travel in pairs, try to travel in groups, and just keep an eye on one another and try to stay where the large groups are, especially when you're on the rail systems and so forth. There's a few shots of the Chancellor Hotel that we stayed at. The interior, the elevators, the lobby. Every hotel room has a cute little duck that they set up in the showers. The rooms are a little small, but they are the original size, so it's very boutique. But they are comfortable. There is good window. You can open them so that you can get some cross ventilation. Highly recommend. The staff is fantastic. The concierge is a real nice guy, and he's there to help you out with any type of questions that you may have, or to get you set up with any type of city tour if you want to take the big bus tour or something of that. in those regards. But otherwise, this is a good hotel. Right across the street is the Beacon Hotel, another boutique hotel, and just up and around the corner is a French boutique hotel named the Cornell. So there's a lot of hotels in the Union Square area. You also have the Marriott, so there's quite a variety of big chain hotels or small boutique hotels, whatever's the best for you. The Chancellor, when it was built in 1914, was considered the tallest building in San Francisco at the time. Now, it was built for the Panama Pacific International Exposition in 1915. It was the World's Fair celebrating the completion of the Panama Canal that offered up the chance for people to experience the newly recovered city after the great earthquake of 1906. So this was an opportunity for the city to reopen up to the world, and there was a lot of brand new architecture that went up. The Palace of Fine Arts was built for this particular occasion. So right after the earthquake, this exposition came through, and this gave the city of San Francisco the opportunity to really shine and show how it had rebuilt and recovered from the 1906 earthquake. So our hotel room, we could actually look out here at the Chancellor, and this was at Christmas time. Here's the beautiful tree. Here's Big Alma right over here, and then of course Macy's, beautifully decorated. Each window has a wreath. Saks Fifth Avenue is back on this side of the building. A ground level view. So Union Square is a fantastic place to start your trip. Because even if you don't want to go out and about, there's usually a lot of things happening around Union Square that you can spend the time and not stray too far from your hotel if that's what you feel is best during your trip. Whether you stay in Union Square or you travel in from another part, try to stop in at Sears Fine Food. It's right next door to the Chancellor Hotel, catty corner from Union Square itself. They serve up a great breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're known for their little dollar pancakes right here. I had the corned beef and hash with eggs and potatoes. Excellent. The corned beef was not greasy at all, like some places do make it. This was excellent. The coffee, freshly brewed, tasted so good. One tidbit of advice I will give you is during the winter months, when this door is open, it creates a little wind tunnel. And we were standing in line, and the door behind us remained open. And one of the patrons got a little cranky with us because we were letting the cold air in. And it does get chilly. So if you're in line and you're waiting for a table, if you're inside or outside, just make sure you close that door because that wind tunnel does blow in, and it does tend to get rather cold and drafty for the people sitting closest to the door. Otherwise, you'll have a fantastic time there at Sears. And a little shout out to my alma mater, Sam Houston State University, Eat 'em up Cats. So if you choose to originate in the Union Square area, right up the road from the Chancellor Hotel, straight up Powell Street 2 blocks, and over on Bush Street, there is a little coffee shop called the Beanstalk. And they have specialty coffees, fantastic sandwiches. This was the sandwich that I had. It was an egg salad sandwich on a bagel, and my wife had an egg omelet type setup on a croissant. Great coffee. One of the things I really recommend is as you work through the tour, try to hit mom and pop hole in the wall restaurants, cafes, delis. That way, not only are you supporting local businesses of San Francisco, but there you can try small little meals and little tidbits and not get too full as you work through, and essentially kind of eat your way through the tour if that's what you want. If not, then you can certainly plan your meals depending on, again, the time frame that you have, the number of people that you have. In this case, this tour, we ended the tour in Chinatown, and that's where we had our final dinner there in Chinatown. So you set up however you want to do it. Just a recommendation, especially if you want to hit some of these off the beaten path cafes and delis and so forth. Once we were done here, we headed over across the street to Powell and Bush, and we caught the cable car, which then took us on to the next leg, which is over on Lombard Street. Once you're done with breakfast, you just can head out, and we're just going to go back over, not too far, across the street on Powell from the Beanstalk. and we're going to head over and catch the cable car here. So we're going to catch the cable car at Bush and Powell, and here's Sears and here's the Chancellor. So we're catching it right up here. So the cable car does run directly in front of the Chancellor Hotel, the Marriott back on the other side, the Beacon Hotel, and then of course it's going to come right up here on Bush Street. And once we leave, or once you leave the Beanstalk, then you'll head over, catch it, and then we'll start our trip down over to Lombard Street. So we're catching it here. We're going to get another pullback on a bird's eye view with Google Earth. And this is where we're picking it up right off of Bush and Powell. And we're going to head on down Powell Street. And we'll wind up heading over off of Washington. And then we'll catch Hyde. So the cable car will come, turn around, and then head down on Hyde Street. And eventually you'll wind up getting off right here at Lombard Street. So the time frame for the Powell and Hyde cable car, so make sure when you catch it you are on the Powell and Hyde cable car, the PH, and it's roughly about a 10 to 15 minute ride. It's not that long, and it's a nice little ride. You got a lot of hills that you can experience, a lot of good scenery. I want to shout out to some of my friends here. This is Deanna, this is Charlene, this is my buddy Dominic, his lovely wife Jessica. They joined us on our trip back in February, and they had a fantastic time out there. So we can kind of see the route that we're taking. Again, make sure you catch the Powell and Hyde cable car. It's going to be about a 10-15 minute ride, and that'll take you out to Lombard Street. Once you arrive Lombard, we're going to hop off, and this is Hyde right here, so you'll hop off here and you will go down the crookedest street in the world. So you'll come on down. Now there is a sidewalk that runs parallel to the houses there, so you can certainly take a nice sidewalk down. You don't have to wind, down all the way through. One thing is these homes are lived in. A lot of these homes have beautiful gardens. So as you go down the sidewalk on the side, if you choose not to walk down the street, just be mindful that this is private property still, and the people take care of their yards. So try not to step in any bushes or flower beds or anything of that nature, because again, this is a neighborhood and there are people who reside in these homes, and they take very, very good care of their landscape. Once you get down to the bottom, this is Leavenworth Street. And from here, you can now start heading down into the Russian Hill neighborhood, and that'll take us down into the pier. And when you get to the bottom of Lombard, make sure you stand right in the sidewalk that has Lombard. These are my beautiful godchildren right here, and of course we had to capture their feet right at the Lombard cement stamp right there. You'll see that we're down here at the bottom. You're just going to continue on down a couple of blocks. Beautiful scenery. This is where you get to see really up close a lot of the old Victorian homes. Beautiful landscape. You'll see homes that are high above you, homes that are on the same level that you are, and just the landscape is just beautiful because of the hills. So you'll head all the way down, and eventually you'll wind up down right over here on the pier. And this is where now we can start taking a look at the pier. And this is roughly about a 15-20 minute walk, because coming down Lombard, again, if you come down and go straight down Leavenworth Street and then all the way down to the pier, you can manage that in about 10-15 minutes. But again, if you stop for pictures and really take in the sights, because from Lombard Street up at the top, when you look down this way, you can see Coit Tower, and the scenery of the bay is just beautiful. So that's a perfect opportunity to catch some pictures and to really soak in the scenery. Once you make it down to the pier, a lot of nice shops along the way, and eventually you'll wind up at the Fisherman's Wharf, which is right here. This little spot here has a lot of parking and all the wonderful restaurants. And then this is Pier 39 that will take you out to see the shops, all the different specialty food items and such that are all along the dock here. The sea lions, it's just beautiful scenery. Areas right in front of Pier 39 where you can hang out. There's some benches, vendors. One thing that is very common down there are the vendors that have the hot dog carts, and these hot dog carts, that's all the vendors sell. you might see 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 vendor carts, and they're all selling the same thing, which is a hot dog wrapped in bacon in a bun topped with onions and peppers. Fantastic. You have to grab one of those at some point when you are down by the pier because they are just scrumptious. One is typically good enough, but sometimes you got that craving that you want to have two. So again, grab a hot dog, sit back at the pier, and just take in the sights. From here, you can see Alcatraz, and you have a beautiful shot of the Golden Gate Bridge. And again, time is very fluid here. You can spend just a few minutes to walk through Pier 39, or you can spend an hour, 2 hours taking in the sights, going into the shops. So really, again, it all depends on the time frame that you have set up. From Pier 39, you can see the city skyline. And then, of course, you have Bowden's sourdough. And you can eat in a restaurant on the second level where these windows are. Or you can eat on the ground level that is right inside where the bakery is. And this was the crab and corn bisque, but typically I order the clam chowder inside the sourdough bowl. And I will tell you, this will hold you the whole day. So if you order that beautiful sourdough bowl with some clam chowder and a drink on the side, that will definitely hold you throughout the next couple of hours as we keep moving on down the line. And all the baked goods that are in here are just amazing. So take a few minutes to really sit and enjoy Bowden's sourdough. And grab up some of those loaves and sweets and take them on the road with you. So when you're on the bus or you're at the park, you can certainly nibble on those. Once you finish up lunch or hanging out at the pier, head on down south about 2 blocks to Mason and North Point. And here you're going to catch the number 28 bus, which will take you all the way over to the Golden Gate Bridge. And this is about a 20-30 minute ride. It's not too bad at all, but there are multiple stops along the way. But one of the benefits is you really get to do some sightseeing. You really get to see some of the neighborhoods that are off the beaten path of the pier and the waterfront and so forth. So this is a perfect opportunity to have your cameras out because you will get a lot of nice shots of the neighborhoods between Pier 39 and heading over to the Golden Gate Bridge. So again, about 2 blocks south, you'll catch the number 28, and this is at Mason and North Point. The route will take you all the way around and then back over this way. You'll actually cut through the Presidio and then drop you off right at the start, the travel center or the guest center of the Golden Gate Bridge. So again, about a 20-30 minute ride, but you'll see that you'll cut through this wonderful neighborhood and get to see some of the daily things that occur outside of the touristy spots. Once the bus drops you off, now you can bring your vehicle. You can park here if you want, if you choose not to take the bus. And then right across the way on the other side of the road is another area where you can do some parking. But again, if you're trying not to park and you want to get the most out of your sightseeing, hop on that bus. It'll drop you off right at the guest center and the gift shop. And there's some nice displays here about the engineering of the Golden Gate Bridge. And then right up here at the top is a coffee shop, the Equator Coffees. Fantastic to grab a coffee, grab a Danish or something of that nature, a quick little snack. They do have small sandwiches that you can order. And then you can head out and you can start taking your walk on the Golden Gate Bridge. Me and my wife like to do virtual 5Ks, and one year actually 2 years in a row, we did our Snoopy, our Peanuts 5K, and we chose the Golden Gate Bridge to do it on. So once you get here, now you can head across the Golden Gate. The trip to and from is approximately a little over 3 miles round trip, so this is perfect opportunity for a virtual 5K. And this goes from abutment to abutment across. Again, we like to do our 5Ks here just because it's a nice experience, and the jog or even the walk over the Golden Gate is so beautiful. If you have the opportunity in the early morning when the fog is rolling in, it is such a beautiful sight to see the tops of these towers disappear into the fog that's rolling in off the Pacific. So take that opportunity to walk all the way across. If you can't, then at least walk into the first tower, because from this vantage point, you get a lot of really good photo opportunities of the skyline of San Francisco. So enjoy, have a fantastic time. And again, the time here is very fluid again. So however much time you want to spend on here, it takes about a good 30-45 minutes walking across and back, depending on how fast you walk and how often you stop to take pictures. So depending on your time, you can gauge about how much time you want to spend on the Golden Gate Bridge, and then head back over to the um, guest information center and gift shop. When it's time to head back, you're just going to reverse the order. You're going to catch the 28 bus once again, right where it dropped you off at the Golden Gate Bridge, and it'll bring you right back again through the Presidio. You'll follow the same route. This time you're going to stop shy just a little bit. Instead of getting off on Mason, which was over several blocks over by Pier 39, we're actually going to get off right at Hyde so we can catch the Powell and Hyde cable car back to the Union Square area, because from there, that's where we're going to jump off and head over into Chinatown. Heading into the last leg of the tour, you'll be returning back on the Powell and Hyde cable car, and you'll hop off where you hopped on this morning if you were at the Beanstalk. If you caught it over at Powell and Bush, you'll hop off here, head 2 blocks east, and you'll wind up in front of Chinatown, one of the grand entrances, which is through the Dragon Gates. Make sure you walk through the gates, because it is said that you have good luck when you do that. Head up Grant, and you'll see some shops, some souvenir shops, and some restaurants and so forth, and some beautiful scenery. So make sure you got your cameras ready. And this will take us into the last leg of the trip, into Chinatown. You can see right here where that bus 28 will drop you. Again, you'll catch the same Powell and Hyde cable car. That'll bring you back over to Bush, where you picked it up early in the morning at Bush and Powell. You're going to get off and then head east over on Bush and go in through the Dragon Gates directly into Chinatown. And here's where we're going to get to see a lot of really, really beautiful scenery. So this right here is the Sing Chong, or another building also referred to as the Sing Fat Bazaar building, which was built in 1907, 1908, right after the earthquake of 1906. When, unfortunately, Chinatown at the time had been pushed into a ghetto. And after the earthquake, the Chinese realized that this was the opportunity, this was the time to reestablish and to define the Chinese culture, and they rebuilt the architecture in the Chinese heritage design. So essentially, the Chinese pulled themselves out of a ghetto environment and created an enclave. After the earthquake, city officials initially sought opportunity to push the Chinese further out, away from where they had resided for many, many years. But the Chinese insisted on making this part of San Francisco their community, and that is why the architecture was put up, so that this now became a Chinatown for everybody to enjoy. As you move through Chinatown, you'll come in down off of Grant Street, and 2 alleyways that you definitely have to cut through is Waverly Place and Ross Alley. And Waverly Place is the first alleyway that you're going to come through. As you come down Grant, we're going to make a left on Sacramento. You'll hit Waverly Place, and this is where the beautiful painted balconies of the family associations are. Waverly Place back in the day was kind of like a red light district. It was filled with prostitution dens, opium dens, and run by street gangs in the late 1800s. It transformed into a place of Chinese culture and artistic flair. When you come to the end of Waverly Place alley, you'll hit Washington Street. You'll make a left and then make a quick right onto Ross Alley. Ross Alley was once filled again with opium dens and gambling parlors, but these gambling parlors were especially designed for quick escape routes. It had built-in trapdoors and mechanisms to outwit any type of raiding law enforcement agents that would come through and try to give the owners a hard time. By the 20th century, the Shady Alley had transformed into more of a quaint space that is home to the Golden Gate Fortune Cookie Company. So you have to stop in here, wait in line, and while you're waiting in line, the employees will come through and hand you some of these flat fortune cookies that haven't been folded into the traditional style just yet. And you'll munch on those, and then you'll head over to a counter and you'll grab a piece of paper, you'll write your fortune, and you'll hand it to one of these workers here, and they will fold your personalized fortune cookie and hand it to you in a beautiful little box like this one right here. And now you have your personal fortune cookie. So this is in right down Ross Alley. And once you exit out of Ross Alley, you'll be on Jackson Street. You'll make a right off of Jackson, and now we can head down and grab some Chinese food for dinner. To give you a little bit of more of a close-up, we came in through Chinatown right down here at Grant. We came up to Sacramento. We made a left. We went through Waverly Place, and once we hit Washington, we cut a left again, and then went down Ross Alley. And then now again, we're coming over to down Jackson Street to grab some dinner for the night. On one of our visits, we stopped in at one of the shops and we bought some souvenirs, and we asked the shop owner, where would you go for Chinese food? We want something that is that you would take and you would eat on a regular basis. We don't want a chain restaurant. We want authentic Chinatown good eats. And the gentleman recommended Z&Y, a Szechuan restaurant, which is just down off of Jackson, just past Grant Street. Fantastic. Now, I will say you have to get there early because right around lunchtime, dinner time, the line is pretty long. There's not very many tables in there, but once you get in and grab a seat, sit back, relax, and you will experience fantastic Chinese food. Several celebrities have gone through, and you'll see some of their pictures up on the wall. But what I recommend closing out for the day is in Chinatown is stopping for dinner here at Z&Y Szechuan Restaurant. As you head out back to the hotel, don't forget to stop at a bakery. In this particular case, we stopped at the Double A Bakery, and we had to pick up some Chinese sponge cake. These little funnel cakes right back over here on the right, those are Chinese sponge cakes. Fantastic. So I highly recommend stopping in, grabbing a couple on your way out of Chinatown, or maybe even eating them on your way out of Chinatown. But either way, pick up a couple of them and enjoy them as you head back to your hotel for the evening. Well, what'd you think? Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully this gave you some kind of a blueprint to set up your own self-guided tour as you work through San Francisco on your next visit. So this tour, we started at 7 in the morning and we got back to our hotel right about 8 o'clock down at the Chancellor. So once we headed out of Chinatown, we reversed the order. We came out through the Dragon Gates. We headed down on Bush and then came down Powell straight into our hotel. So you can see there's many different options. And again, the time is very fluid. I had my family with me, friends, so we took the opportunity to really sit and enjoy the scenery and the sites that we stopped at. And we had, breakfast, we had our lunch, and then of course we had dinner. So you can see that the time certainly can extend out for several hours, or you can shorten it down depending on the time frame that you have while you're visiting San Francisco. So do me a favor, subscribe and hit the like button and send me some comments. Let me know what you think. If there's a place that you're unsure of or you're unfamiliar with, and if I know about it, I will definitely give you my feedback on it. If I don't, I'll research it and I'll give you some feedback. Again, this is something that I put together for my family and my friends. I do plan on doing some tours, personal tours in San Francisco later in the fall. So maybe we'll catch up with you there and I can take you on the tour personally and share a little bit more of the history and a little bit more of the geography with you. So again, hopefully you'll subscribe and follow. In the next few weeks, I'll have part two of the trip um, published online. And whether you do this tour or you modify it, send me some comments. Let me know what you did. Let me know how it went, and share with me the experience of your time in San Francisco. Good luck to you, and enjoy the most beautiful city in the world, San Francisco.